and welcome back to the Elephant Lounge. I'm your host, Tuesday. I want to thank you so much for joining me again. I had a couple questions on my last episode where I reviewed the book Unauthorized by Christopher Anderson. I believe I said Anders. I apologize. I think there's a sticker on the spine of this book and it covered up the last part of his name. So I really apologize for that, but it is Christopher Anderson. He is an American journalist. He worked with Time Magazine, People Magazine, many articles in the New York Times, New York Daily News, Life, Vanity Fair. He is currently 70 years old right now. He has 34 books. Many are bestsellers. His other popular book was Unauthorized Madonna, and I have that book around here somewhere because I know that I bought it years ago. I read it late 80s, maybe early 90s. It's a pretty good book. I remember that one very much. Do I recommend this book? I do recommend this book, but I do want to stress it does not focus on the settlement, for instance. It doesn't really focus on everything that has to do with Jordan, and clearly it doesn't take us up into 2003, so we have nothing in here about Gavin Arvizo or anything that went on there. If you're more interested in the trial and the dealings with Jordan, I definitely recommend Diane Diamond's book over this one. However, as I said, there's a lot of information about his relationships with other people and his business dealings and his family, and all of that stuff is in here. So it's very interesting, and the book is available, I believe, on Amazon for like $4. So if you really are curious, it's not going to break the bank. I do want to say that it has a very well-sourced index in the back of the book. So if there's somebody you want to look up, like Elizabeth Taylor, you can look up her name and it'll show you the pages that she's mentioned in this book. And there is a source reference back here that goes over each chapter and tells you exactly what sources were used. In some cases, he does come out and say that, yes, there were some sources that did not go on the record with me, but he used the information anyway. So make of that what you will. But as I said, those are the interesting tidbits about that book. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about concerning Michael Jackson, just let me know. Ask me whatever questions you might have, and I will do whatever I can to give you the answer to your question. Tomorrow, I will be recording with Roberta Glass again, and I'm very excited because we will be talking about Amanda Knox. Now, this was a case that I had no interest in initially whatsoever. I did just look at her and immediately believe she was guilty, and then later on, she was exonerated and released, and of course, I really had no opinion on that because the truth is I didn't know anything about it. And while I was dealing with the Jodi Arias trial and things were winding down there, somebody had asked me, well, actually a couple people asked me, well, what's your opinion on the Amanda Knox case? What do you think of that one? And I said, I don't know. I really don't know anything about it. They kind of pushed me a little bit more and said, well, I think I would really like to know what your opinion is on that case. You should look into it. And of course, flattery will get you everywhere with me, darling. So of course I'll go ahead and look into it. And it just so happened that week, the Italian court found her guilty again, and this, of course, piqued my interest even more. I started going through as much material as I could that I could possibly find, and everything was, she's innocent, she's innocent, she's innocent. I immediately recognized a lot of this as propaganda. It was told in a way that was all about eliciting emotion, and some of the things that were being said, like this 30-hour interrogation, or that they hit her on the head. Sometimes it was the front of the head, sometimes it was the back, sometimes it was both, sometimes it was, there's a different story for every situation, right? To me, that just seemed ridiculous. It was just one thing after the next. Everything was an excuse. Every single thing was an excuse. Well, she's a little weird. Well, she didn't know. Well, they lied to her. Well, police are allowed to lie. Well, they had this long interrogation. It's Italy. It's not Iran. It's Italy. This is the birthplace of philosophy and thought. I mean, what do you mean? Like, why would they do these things when it's so obvious you're not supposed to do those things? It just became very clear to me that people who were supporting Amanda Knox were very invested in blaming everyone else around them except for maybe Amanda Knox, which we all know sounds a lot like Michael Jackson. So I hope that you will check that out. Again, that'll be over on Roberta's podcast, and I will put a link to it in the description of this podcast and possibly my next one as well. And you'll just want to look for it in the next day or two. I don't know when she'll have it up. She usually records it and then she puts it up as soon as she can. So we'll see how that goes. I hope that you enjoy that. Again, if there's more you want me to talk about on the Michael Jackson, just let me know. I will be glad to cover that. Also, if we hear anything, if any new information comes out, which I am told we may be hearing some new stuff. I'm just going to say that. That's all I'm going to say. We shall see. I don't want anyone to get too excited, but we'll leave it there. And if there's any other cases you'd like me to talk about, let me know and I'll see if I know about them or not. And I will be back, as always.